It all started on a quiet afternoon when I stumbled upon an online listing for an old cabin estate, nearly 150 years old, sitting forgotten at the edge of a misty forest. The photos were faded, the roof sagged, and the windows were clouded with years of dust and neglect. Yet something about it pulled me in. The worn wooden beams, the ivy crawling up its sides, and the promise of history whispering through its cracks. Without thinking twice, I bought it. Maybe it was impulsive, or maybe fate had led me there. The cabin sat on 5 acres of wild land, surrounded by towering oaks and a winding creek that shimmered in the morning light. The first time I stepped onto the property, it felt like walking into another era. The air smelled of pine and old wood, the ground soft with fallen leaves. The front porch creaked under my weight as if it was welcoming me, or warning me. Inside, dust danced in the sunlight streaming through broken panes. The fireplace was blackened with age, and the walls bore scars of time, but it was beautiful. It was mine. I spent weeks restoring it. Every nail, every plank, every beam became a story. I replaced the roof with reclaimed cedar shingles and sanded the floorboards until the grain glowed like honey. I discovered hidden compartments under the floor filled with old letters, family photos, and a rusted pocket watch that still ticked faintly. It was like the house was slowly revealing its secrets, trusting me to bring it back to life. The locals often stopped by out of curiosity. Some admired the restoration. Others warned me about the HOA lady, a woman named Karen who considered herself the ruler of the entire neighborhood. She was infamous for her constant complaints, fines, and lectures about preserving the community's legacy. I laughed it off. After all, my property was on private land, technically outside the HOA's jurisdiction, or so I thought. The first time I met her, she marched up my newly restored driveway like she owned it. Mid-50s, perfectly styled hair, oversized sunglasses, and a clipboard in hand. "Excuse me," she balked, without even saying hello. "What gives you the right to make these changes? This cabin belonged to the Turners for generations." I smiled politely. "Yes, I know. I bought it from the last Turner heir through the proper channels. I'm restoring it." Her eyes narrowed. "Restoring? You're destroying history. My son was supposed to inherit this land." That caught me off guard. "Your son?" I asked. "Yes," she snapped. "My great-grandfather was a Turner. This land belongs to my family. You had no right to buy it out from under us." I explained that I had gone through all legal procedures, that the last Turner descendant sold it willingly. But Karen didn't care. To her, it wasn't about paperwork. It was about control. She stormed off, vowing to fix this injustice. The next few weeks were chaos. I'd find strange cars parked by the entrance. Someone tore down the wooden private property sign I had put up. Tools went missing. Once I came out in the morning to find red paint splattered across the porch with the words "Thief of Heritage" written across it. I installed cameras after that. Karen kept showing up. Sometimes yelling, sometimes pretending to be civil, always threatening to take it to the board. I reminded her again and again that I wasn't part of her HOA, but she insisted that the spirit of the neighborhood included my land. Then one afternoon, while clearing out an old shed behind the cabin, I found a dusty tin box buried beneath the floorboards. Inside were more old letters, but these were different. They weren't from the 1800s. They were from the 1960s, written by a woman named Margaret Turner to her daughter Lydia. One letter stood out. It said, "I leave this cabin and all that it stands for to whomever loves it enough to restore it. Family or not, love is the truest inheritance." Those words struck me. It was as if Margaret had written them for me. I carefully preserved the letters and framed the one with that line above the fireplace. The next morning, Karen appeared again, this time with 2 men, one filming on his phone, the other holding some kind of notice. She screamed the moment she saw the new fence I'd built. "You can't do this. This is illegal. That's my son's inheritance and you're trespassing on our land." I didn't respond right away. Instead, I went inside and brought out the framed letter. I handed it to her gently. "You might want to read this," I said. She looked confused. But as her eyes scanned the paper, the anger in her face began to flicker. Confusion, then disbelief, then something that almost looked like guilt. The camera guy stopped recording. "Where did you get this?" she asked softly. From under the old shed, I said. Your great-grandmother wrote it. Karen didn't say anything. She turned away and walked toward her car, shoulders stiff. For the first time, she didn't yell or threaten. She just left. A week later, a letter arrived in my mailbox. It was from her. She apologized, not fully, but enough. She said she realized her anger was about more than the cabin. It was about losing her family's past, about feeling forgotten. She said she hoped I'd continue to take care of it and maybe, someday, allow her to visit. I agreed. A month later, she and her son came by. We sat on the porch together, watching the sunset paint the old wood in gold. She pointed to the creek and said her grandfather used to fish there. For the first time, I felt like the house wasn't just mine. It was shared between past and present. Now the cabin stands tall again, glowing with life. The nights are peaceful, the fire crackles softly, and sometimes I swear I can hear the echoes of old laughter in the walls. Maybe Margaret was right. Love is the truest inheritance, and this place, this story, was always meant to be restored not just with hands, but with heart.